Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. All goes to
Hare
you.
Krishna, glory to Prabhupada, my obeisances to you and all the devotees.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Today, as is, it is auspicious day of Ekadasi. Guru Maharaj has chosen the verse Srimad-Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, 14th verse. Is that right, Guru Maharaj?
Hare Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Just start sharing.
Okay, very often quoted verse by persons who give classes. And it's a very significant verse given the particular social and times that we are in. Apana Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 1 minute. I'll be right back. So, Apanam Samsritim Goram Yannamam Vishvasovinam Tatasabhyo Vimucheta Yad Viveti Swayam Vayam. Translation: living beings who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death can be freed immediately by even unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna, which is feared by fear personified. Purport: Vasudeva, or Lord Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, is the supreme controller of everything. There is no one in creation who is not afraid of the rage of the Almighty. Great asuras like Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, and others who are very powerful living entities were all killed by the personality of Godhead. And the Almighty Vasudeva has empowered his name with the powers of his personal self. Everything is related to him, and everything has an identity in him. It is stated herein that the name of Krishna is feared even by fear personified. This indicates that the name of Krishna is non-different than Krishna. Therefore, the name of Krishna is as powerful as Lord Krishna himself. There is no difference at all. Anyone, therefore, can take advantage of the holy names of Lord Krishna, even in the midst of the greatest dangers. The transcendental name of Krishna, even though uttered unconsciously or by force or circumstance, can help one attain freedom from the hurdle of birth and death. Gyantimidandasya Gyanajana Salakaya Chaksum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swam Padantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharini Nivasesa Sunyavadi Pasyatya De Satarine Vanshakalpa Taruvescha Kripa Sindhu Hey Vacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari. When one lecture, Prabhupada was talking that when Krishna was here, he killed so many demons. And that's also mentioned in the Bhagavatam. In the Bhagavad Gita, Pavitranayam Sadhunam Vinasanaya Chaduskritam. That when the world becomes overburdened with demons, when Krishna personally descends in order to rectify the situation, kill the demons, and by his presence, he reestablishes religious principles. What we hear in the Bhagavatam is not just some stories that happened years ago. It's a thread or a theme that runs throughout existence. And what is that? There's a constant struggle between good and evil. That struggle goes on in many planets around the universes, and particularly on the Earth planet, and particularly right now. I say that because Srila Prabhupada, in his same lecture, he said, the demons are increasing, the demons are increasing. But he said, do not worry, because Krishna has personally descended in the form of his holy name. As it says here, the name of Krishna is as powerful as Krishna himself. Now, that may be hard, and it is, if not maybe, it is hard for us to really, assimilate that knowledge with some kind of reasonable understanding. The name of Krishna is as powerful as Krishna himself. And then Prabhupada, in the next statement, there is no difference at all. So he doesn't say there's a slight difference. And this is also mentioned by Sri Chaitanya, Nam Namakari Bahudan Nija Sarva Shaktish. Nija Sarva Shaktish, in this second verse of the Shikshastakam prayers, says that all the powers, all the energies, all the qualities, everything is found that it is of Krishna, is there in the holy name. So we have Krishna's personal presence available at any time in the form of the holy name. Chanting the holy name is a process where we purify our consciousness, and as we purify our consciousness, the chanting of the holy name becomes more and more relishable. If you are standing a distance away from a fire, you may see the fire with some light, and there is maybe some heat. You may not be able to feel the heat or even get much visual experience of the fire. But if you keep going closer, or if the fire comes closer to you, either way, in other words, both are coming closer in one way, the heat is automatically felt more and more as the closeness continues, and the light is also experienced more. So when we're chanting Holy Krishna's holy name, we may not be so close to Krishna in that chanting, but if we keep chanting, gradually we start to purify our consciousness through the chanting, and then the name starts to reveal its presence as being Krishna himself. But even now here, it even goes farther to say, this is for more maybe for the non-devotees. The transcendental Krishna, even though uttered unconsciously or by force of circumstance, can help one attain freedom from the hurdle of birth and death. This is how powerful Krishna's name is. We can't really understand what mercy we have available in the form of chanting his holy name. We have his personal association available. We have complete protection from the influence of the material energy. Here, as it says in the verse itself, chanting of the holy name, even unconsciously, is feared by fear personified. Fear personified. Now, what does that supposed to mean? That means even the greatest form of fear that one can imagine, or even someone may have experienced, is so powerful that the holy name even causes fear to run away. In other words, one becomes fearless. This is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita in the very first three verses, which are combined as one verse in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where fearlessness is described in detail. And this is one of the characteristics of a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava is fearless. Why? Because they take shelter of Krishna, and particularly they take shelter of Krishna by chanting his holy name. So fear is a very powerful force in this world. In fact, the whole material world works around the principle of fear. And we even see in religious circles, sometimes people who are preachers try to get people to worship God by creating a certain fear perspective in their consciousness in order for them to engage in some kind of religious activity. Of course, it's mentioned by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur that this is the lowest form of attraction. This is the lowest form of attraction causing obedience. Just like you may have a child. Your child may obey you because they fear you, but when they get a little bit older, that fear aspect no longer becomes an element of your control over them. What becomes the control is more like love or obedience, free from any kind of intimidating type of means to get people to do things. So fear in the material world is very strong because people are living through the material energy. What does that mean? In other words, they're trying to find happiness in the material energy. So those who try to find happiness in the material energy, and the more the intensity of that activity increases, the more one becomes fearful. Just like today, we have people are doing things against their will because they are fearful. They're forced to align themselves with some kind of medical ideas because they've been pushed into a category of fear. So out of fear, they use fear in different ways in order to get people to do things, or just to get people to refuse to act in the right way. Fear is very, what we say, debilitating, and fear causes confusion. When you're confused, you can't think clearly, and then when you can't think clearly, you either make the wrong choice or you're unable to make a choice at all. Fear is very debilitating, and it's also a killer in itself. People die out of fear. I just recently heard one story. I had given this class just recently in same verse when I was in Radhadesh Mellows. It was about 10 days ago. It was on, it was on the 27th of January, I think it was. Yeah, almost about 2 weeks ago, the 27th of January. I gave a class on this verse. And then later, after the class, I was speaking to His Holiness Sachinandana Maharaj, who was also there. And he became interested in such a way that he said, "Let me tell you a little story." And I said, "Fine." So he said, there's one story. It's a little antidote, but it gives you an indication of something. He said that there was one small town, and there was one man who lived in the town. He was walking around, and he was coming towards the edge of the town, and he noticed right by the edge of the town, standing by the entrance of the town, was a man all dressed in black. So he was thinking, who is that? Never saw him before. So he became curious and went up to the man. And the man had a black hood over his face. You couldn't see. He was dressed all in black with a black hood. And then he said, who are you? And the man raised his hood and said, I am Death. I've come to your town, and within the next month, I will take 500 people. Oh, the man became a little alarmed. 500 people will die within the next month in this town. And so he left and started thinking, well, I should warn people because they should know that, 500 of us are going to die, so they should know ahead of time and maybe take precautions. And so he made his information that he had received from Death Personified known throughout the town. After the 1 month, 5,000 people died, not 500, 5,000. The man, he was still alive. He saw that same person still standing by the gate, came to him. He said, you told me that were there 5,000 people, 500 people were going to die, but you took 5,000, not 500. He said, I came to take 500, 4,500 died because of fear. And so it's a pretty interesting message because fear is so debilitating that it actually causes mental illness, physical illness, and even death. So, but this material world works on the fear aspect. And what is the ultimate fear? Fear of death. But people experience fear in so many different ways. Fear of not getting something, fear of losing something, fear of getting something and not getting the benefit of what I wanted from that object or that person. So fear is very strong. And right now, it's very strong in the world. The media is using fear to induct people more and more into some kind of medical activity. And people don't know what to do. And if they don't acquiesce, well, we take away your privilege to go shopping. We take away your privilege to go to the school. You can't buy things. At least that's true throughout Europe. Europe is very strong. You can't, where I am, you can't go into the store unless you've been vaccinated. And you have to prove. One of my disciples, he went to get some gas. And there was a sign there by the gas station, unless you have a vaccination, don't buy gas here. So he didn't see the sign. He filled up his gas tank, went to pay for it. And then the man found out and he was really alarmed. So he was about to call the police. But the man, this devotee, called his friend, and immediately the friend came who paid for the gas. So this is going on now. People are putting in so many fearful conditions going around the world, but we have the holy name. So staying free from fear is not becoming, taking shelter of Krishna's holy name means you have the opportunity to stay free from fear. Because Rake Krishna Moreke, More Krishna Rakeke. Whatever Krishna does, he does perfectly and completely. And if Krishna wants something to happen, it happens. If Krishna allows something to happen, it happens. If Krishna doesn't want something to happen, it doesn't happen. So when Krishna says, Kotiya Pratijanihi me bhakta pranashyati. We declare boldly, my devotee will never perish. So that is very much inclined to the holy name of the Lord. Taking shelter of the holy name of the Lord is not about becoming free from fear. It's about developing our love for Krishna. But the byproduct is that one becomes fearless simply by chanting the holy names. It's more like an additional mercy and manifestation of Krishna's presence in the form of the holy name, that he actually gives protection from everything material for one who chants the holy names of the Lord. And there are so many, and there's so many stories about that. One story I'd like to illustrate, maybe I told it before. I know I've told it a few times, but in 1972, I believe it was, or 71, the devotees were preaching in Bangladesh during the war. Prabhupada had sent 2 sannyasis to go to Bangladesh to preach to the Hindus that were trapped during the war. And so these 2 sannyasis went. And then after some time, the war was escalating even more. And Prabhupada was thinking, let me call these sannyasis back. But communication lines had broken down because of the war, and Prabhupada couldn't get through. And then the word came to these sannyasis through other people that it's time for you to leave. Unfortunately, the Islamic army were allowing people to leave by buses. Anyone who wanted to leave, didn't want to be part of the war, could leave. But if it appears that someone on the bus was an enemy, then they would get executed, because the buses would go to the outskirts of the town, and the Islamic army would check the buses before they let the buses through. So these 2 sannyasis got on, and they were immediately noticed, taken off the bus and put in front of a firing squad. And one of the sannyasis, his name was Brahmananda, one of Prabhupada's first disciples in New York, he took his beads out and started waving them in the air and chanted really loud. And he started saying to the other sannyasi, I think his name was Pushta Krishna, hey, we're going back home. We're going back to Godhead. We're going back to Godhead. And he started chanting really loud. Pushta Krishna got the message and he followed. They both were chanting really loud. That bewildered the Islamic army, and somehow, by Krishna's mercy, the leader of the army came and told them, get back on the bus and get out of here and don't come back again. Immediately, they let him go. And that was the power of the chanting of the holy name. That's one of many, many, many stories. How devotees, simply by chanting the holy name, have been freed from the most dangerous situations in life. And even in ordinary situations, somehow if one chants the holy names of the Lord, Krishna is there to protect his devotee. So the holy name is Krishna himself. And so one doesn't have to fear anything in this world. But you might say, does fear have a place in the life of a devotee? Yes, it does. And what is that fear? And Prabhupada speaks about that. That's called the healthy fear of Maya. That material energy is so entangling. The fear of the material energy is so subtle that one can easily become trapped into material activities or material consciousness. And so a devotee becomes fearful in a cautious way, not again to become entangled with the material energy. So that fear is considered to be something that one should adopt. Oh, I should be very careful, otherwise I can get trapped by Maya. And again, start thinking and acting in a materialistic way. So that fear is recommended. But fear of the external environment, just like it says that one who takes shelter of Lord Nrsingadev, Lord Nrsingadev does three things. He gives three particular benefits to his devotees. One, he protects one from all external dangers. Two, he gives the understanding of material illusions. He helps you see beyond the material illusion. Oh, I'm looking at this situation. It looks like it will give me happiness. Oh, actually it won't. In other words, you can see clearly that this material energy is working in such a way. That's why Maya is called illusionary. Illusionary means it's real, but what it provides is not real. In other words, what it proposes to provide is something than what it actually is. It's like, just like if you see some flashing lights, and the flashing light says, the sign has a picture of a pizza. And so from a distance, you're looking at this flashing pizza and you think, oh, it's a pizza, but it's not. It's just a series of flashing lights. So you can't really do anything with that because it's not edible. So in the same way, the illusionary energy presents itself to be something that you can give satisfaction, happiness, success, but it can't. And so Lord Nrsingadev helps one to see beyond the illusion into the reality of Maya. And the third thing Lord Nrsingadev does, and that's mentioned by Shiv Prahlad in a prayer, where he says, Om Namo Bhagavate Narasringaya Namaste Te Tejase Avirbhava Rajanaka Rajadamsa Kamar Saya Radaya Radaya Tamo Grasa Grasa Om Swaha Avayam Atmayam Atmani Bhuyaswam Om Shram. That's from Srimad-Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 5th chapter, verse number 8, describing that praying to Lord Nrsingadev, who's equipped with powerful nails and powerful teeth, he uproots any desire for fruitive activities that are mentioned, that are sitting within the heart of his devotee, and he frees them from that consciousness, and therefore he gives one bhakti, or he brings one to the level of bhakti. So that's Lord Nrsingadev. So he's very merciful, and he likes to protect his devotees. There's hundreds of stories, and I don't use that word hundreds in a exaggerated way. Hundreds of stories in our ISKCON society of how Lord Nrsingadev has saved his devotees from very, what we say, life-threatening situations. Okay, so then therefore one should be very aware that fear does pervade the material world. People are always fearful. It's something that people carry with them all the time, but the devotee is fearless. They are not careless or carefree, but they are cautious, but at the same time, they take shelter of Krishna. And therefore they know, because they're taking shelter of Krishna, there's no reason to fear anything, even the fear of death, because death will come. Death comes to everyone, at least it comes to the material body. It doesn't come to the soul. The soul is eternal. Nahanyate hanyamane sarire. When the body is slain, the soul remains and goes on to another situation. So that is considered to be the greatest of all fears. Shakespeare wrote about that in one of his poems. He said, "Ah, there's the rub," indicating that there is the thing in this material world that everybody doesn't want, and that is death. And that's natural. But there's no need to fear death. What we fear is to not wasting time in activities that don't help us become Krishna conscious. If we're wasting time, then we will become fearful, even as a devotee. Don't waste time. Use your time in the best possible way to maintain yourself nicely and at the same time become more and more advanced in Krishna consciousness. And here we go back to the essence of this book, chant the holy names of the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada has mentioned over and over again in his lectures, it's in his writings. I've actually collected a series of these lectures and writings. The statement that Prabhupada said we should chant 24 hours a day. And so that takes practice. It also takes devotional attachment. We have to really be attached to Krishna before we can chant his name 24 hours a day. Now, today is Ekadasi. Now, Ekadasi means chanting. When we look for a synonym to fit the definition of Ekadasi, the word comes chanting. It means to chant. And so in the land of India, people chant 24 hours. They begin on the sunrise and they go to the next sunrise on Dwadasi. So, but we may also make a vow to chant more rounds on this day. We should not be satisfied just getting our 16 rounds done and think, well, that's all we have to do. No, here's a day for developing a greater taste for chanting, because the more you chant, the more you can access or acquiesce quality. So quality comes through the element of quantity. So therefore we make vows. I remember we used to do these programs called Japa retreats. For a whole week, we would go to a particular place and gather with many other devotees. And it was always conducted by Sachinandana Swami or Giriraj Swami or Mahatma Prabhu. And then we would just chant practically the whole day, sometimes 64 rounds. And we would also have classes centered around the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. So after those retreats, you felt so surcharged that you would think, wow, I'm going to chant more and more every day, not just for these retreats. Because once you develop a taste for chanting, then you'll understand the beauty of the holy name, because the taste is available, but we have to be serious, try to chant and avoid the offenses, and push everything else aside, especially on the Ekadasi, and chant more and more and more. And then what's the question of fear? Fear doesn't even come into your mind anymore, not even the word, what to speak of becoming fearful. So fear is simply a shadow. Fear has no substance. Anything material is like a shadow over the reality, a shadow that reflects the person. So the shadow of the person looks like the person in form, but has no substance. In the same way, fear appears to have some influence, but actually there's nothing there. There's nothing there, because fear is just a state of consciousness created by our own material desires. That's all. And material desires are artificial, and the consciousness that they create is simply an illusion. One should simply chant the holy name. So this verse and purport, especially the purport, is very, very it's a landmark because it really puts everything. Fear personified is afraid of Krishna in the form of his holy name. So Krishna is so powerful that even fear runs from Krishna. Okay, so these are some points that we can dwell on. The importance of chanting the holy names, taking shelter, and the element of fear. So we can stop here.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. A very, very nice class about the holy name. Thank you so much. Dear devotees, if you have any questions or comments or realizations, you can go ahead, please. And please turn on your cameras. That would be very nice. Thank you.
Thank you. If we could get 100% camera, it would be a first. But I think I'm just like a dwarf shooting for the moon, so I don't know what will happen. Let's see how close we can get. Come on, Sri Devi, turn on your camera.
Namrata Mataji, you want to go ahead with your question?
Vishwa Pavani, you can turn on your camera. I know you can. Sudha always turns on her camera.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Glory to Shri Prabhupada. Glory to you. Maharaj, I'm in the temple, so I would like to give darshan of Gauranta and Radha Krishna to everybody.
Which temple are you in?
I'm in the temple, Meera Road, Mumbai.
Oh, Mumbai, Meera Road, yes. Yeah, please give us a darshan of whoever you want us to give.
I don't know how to reverse this camera.
It's Gornatai, Shishi Gornatai.
Yes, Maharaj, and this is Krishna.
And Radha Rasa Bihari, huh?
Radha Girdhari.
Radha Rasa Bihari, and of course Vishaka and Lalita.
Yes, Maharaj.
And then we have Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman.
No, we have Jagannath deities, Maharaj.
Guru Maharaj, those deities are in Juhu temple, I think.
Oh, this is Juhu. Yeah, this is
Meera Road.
Oh, this is Meera Road, yeah. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani. Thank you.
So,
you look very happy. You must have been getting a lot of mercy.
Yeah, it's Ekadashi, yeah. So I'm glad I came with my son.
Bravo.
Okay, Maharaj.
Thank you. Okay, anybody would like to ask a question? That'll be no Dini.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to you. You mentioned in the end of the class that that fear and desires are connected, and can you elaborate this a little bit, how they are connected?
How desires and fear are connected?
Yes.
I think what I was saying is that if you have if you're fearful, then you develop you're fearful because you have a particular material desire. In other words, whatever material desire you have will cause you to be fearful, and to some degree or other.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're afraid of death, that is a material desire because you don't die. The soul dies. The soul lives on, the body dies. So death is an illusion. And there's no such thing as death because the body is never alive and the soul is never destroyed. So life means that when the soul comes into the body becomes alive. And when the soul leaves the body, that is called death. So the presence of the soul within the body makes the body alive. So the body is never alive unless the presence of the soul is there. But ultimately, the body is always dead because it's just a combination of material elements. And in material elements cannot produce life. So the body is always dead, even now, even while you're in it, it's dead, but it's moving because of the presence of you, the soul in the body. Just like a car. The car does so many nice things, but because it has a driver, as soon as the driver parks it, the car just sits in one place. It has no life of its own, no mobility of its own. So as long as we have a material desire, we're going to be fearful to some degree.
And what is the cause of fear when it's like a fear of pain or fear of like others being angry or something like that? This subtle type of things.
Well, a person has to deal with situations in this world, and fear may appear in a momentary aspect of a situation to alert a person to a situation. But if one lives within the fear aspect, then one will gravitate down. So even if fear causes one to react in a certain way and become fearful, then the next thing is the intelligence should kick in, or shelter of the Lord kicks in, and then that fear becomes understandable or easily confronted, or confronted more effectively. You know, someone may cause you to become fearful, but then if you stay like that, then you'll go down. But if you simply react to initial fear, that's natural. It's like there are people who, if you put them in a dark room, even though it's their house, they'll become fearful because the darkness in and of itself is fear creating. Just like at night, people don't go out so much at night walking the streets because they're fearful. The darkness allows for elements to come into the darkness and cause fear. And a lot of it, not a lot of it, but some of it is our imagination. So we actually imagine things and become fearful through this imagination. So when we take shelter of Krishna, and then we're in contact with Krishna through that shelter, there's no fear.
Thank you very much. It was really, really helpful. Thank you.
You just like maybe a simple thing, a person's fearful of losing their job because they think if I lose my job, then I lose my economics and then I can't maintain my family nicely. But then again, they might think, well, there are other jobs, so I can get another job. So initially, the initial fear may be there, but then reason based on intelligence will help one to overcome that and find a solution to something that maybe have caused one to be fearful. The idea is when you live in fear, if you stay in fear, if your mood of life is fearful, and then you're going to get sick mentally and physically also.
Yeah, that's really true. Yeah. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Thank you. Sri Devi, you have a question.
Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you. Thank you, Guru Maharaj, for another really power-packed class. I was just racing with my pen to write down all the wonderful points that you mentioned in so many different levels. We understood that really taking shelter is key for us to become fearless. That said, I want to just share a small anecdote, if I may. Just a couple of days ago, I was beginning to feel a little anxious about a particular situation, not fearful, but anxious. And my mind was, going round and round that situation and saying, oh, how do I do this? How do I do that? And then finally, I just sort of threw up my hands mentally and I said, Krishna, I'm just taking shelter of you. It's too much for my mind to grasp. I'm going to just put this in your hands because it's just getting beyond me now to come up with some solution. And I just quit the whole thing and I prayed to the Lord, allow me to sleep tonight because I really want to get up early for Mangalarti and chant. And I went for Mangalarti, and as I was chanting after the Tulsi Puja, Krishna answered that question in my heart. He told me clearly what to do, and it was like, oh, thank you. And then I remembered your words when you said in one lecture, the holy name will purify you, the holy name will protect you, and the holy name will guide you. And I was saying, thank you, Krishna. Please allow me to really have faith now in chanting your name. My problem is lack of faith. And please allow me through this experience to have really more faith in chanting your holy name. So I just wanted to share that because I was really in anxiety and losing sleep and all. And then when I just said, okay, Krishna, I laid this problem at your feet. I just don't know what else to do. And then Krishna answered. I was chanting.
Yeah, what you're saying is something that's normal. It happens all the time. The idea, we think we're the doer, and therefore we think we're the doer, we think we're the enjoyer. When you think you're the doer, you think you're the enjoyer, and then when your enjoyment becomes somewhat stifled by situations where you can't control it, then you become anxious. And then when you realize, well, I'm not the doer, this is my desire. So you just take shelter of Krishna. And then everything changes. Sometimes the situation completely goes away and it's not even important anymore. It's not like Krishna solves our problems for us. He gives you the shelter and the intelligence to deal with things yourself. That's what he doesn't do anything.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you for pointing out that this is normal and we have to take shelter of Krishna. And that
It takes some faith. We're conditioned to solve our own problems. And that's the way we are trained in life, and that's the way life trains us also. They have so many books on the market now, self-help books. How to do this, how to accomplish this. What was that famous book? How to something and influence people. What was that book?
How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale.
How that was a bestseller for years, and even now it's still a popular book. How to Win Friends and Influence People. All these how to do books. We don't need any of that. All we need to do is chant Hare Krishna. That's all. I mean, for some practical knowledge, you may go for some references, but when it comes to psychological upliftment, everything is there in the holy name. You don't need to.
So when you said Krishna doesn't solve our problems, he gives you intelligence so that you can solve the problem intelligently. Is that what we should understand?
Yeah, he's not going to do things for you, but he's going to provide the tools you need to solve your own problems. He's going to help you recognize these things. He's going to help you understand them. He's going to remind you, but you have to do it.
Okay. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. I'm still a baby, still learning to crawl. So every step of the way, your wonderful help is greatly necessary. Thank you so much.
I'm crawling next to you.
No.
Dear Prashant, nice to see you. It's been a long time.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. My humble obeisances to you and to Srila Prabhupada.
Glories of my obeisances to you.
How are you, Guru Maharaj?
Today, pretty good. We had a nice program last night and many devotees came, so that was very enlivening for everyone.
Yeah.
The topic they gave me for the program, it was a home program, Krishna's love for his devotees. Krishna's love for his devotees. It was a really, it's kind of a broad topic because when you think about it, whatever Krishna does for his devotee, he does out of love for his devotee. But then you can get very specific and describing incidents on how Krishna stays behind the scene, gives the intelligence, gives the ability, gives the facility for a devotee to carry out his service or her service. And at the same time, the devotee gets all the credit and Krishna does all the work. So we were talking about that last night. How Krishna empowers his devotee to do things and gives the devotee the credit.
Yeah. Guru Maharaj, does Krishna also want us devotees, or Krishna want devotees to appreciate, like we do, we do our prayers, which is a way of appreciation. That's from our side. But does Krishna want that appreciation?
He wants it because it is good for us.
Yeah.
That's why he encourages it, because he knows it's good for us. It's like when a father or a parent in the house is asking the child to do certain things. The father that doesn't have any reason, but if the child doesn't show some kind of responsibility towards the parent, the child is the one that suffers. So Krishna will act in such a way as to appear, just like if we don't wake him up, if we don't dress him, if we don't feed him, if we don't worship him, he says that this is what you should do. He said, Manmana bhava mad bhakto mam niji mam namaskuru. He said, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage to me. So it sounds like he's a little proud, but it's not. He's just saying that for our benefit. As a father or a parent instructs their children for their benefit and not for the benefit of the parent.
So even that appreciation is aimed at our benefit. So everything he's doing. So there's no question about his love for us.
No, because he's Atmarama. One of his names is Atmarama. He's self-satisfied. He needs nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He's happy within himself. He needs nothing outside of himself. Or he needs nothing from us or from anyone.
Atma.
But he is a God of love, and therefore he wants to exchange love with his devotees. Because the purpose of life is love. When you understand that, then you understand everything. There's no other purpose in life other than to come to the platform of giving love and receiving love. We try to do that on this level, and to some degree, people become a little bit happy because of that. But that's always fraught with many, many difficulties, mistakes, and errors because we are imperfect. And we can't love or accept love or give love in a perfect way. But Krishna can. And Krishna can also receive our imperfect love and turn it into something perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is about coming to that platform. So Krishna wants to exchange love with his devotees. So you may say that there is one desire that Krishna has. He wants to exchange love with his devotees. And not just devotees, but every living entity, not just those who are devotees, every living entity. Our love on the material level can be satisfied quite easily. Love can never be satisfied. He wants more and more and more. He's greedy for love. And you see how, if you read the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, how he exchanges love with his devotees in so many different ways. And it's not just one way, but it's in various varieties of expressions and activities that loving exchange is there. So life means to exchange love in many, many different ways. You can love Krishna as a friend, you can love him as a parent, you can love him as a child, you can love him as a husband, wife, a lover. So many different ways that Krishna exchanges love with his different devotees. And even within the categories, there are so many different expressions of loving exchange. So if you say that Krishna is in need of anything, you might say, well, he likes to, and he is very eager to exchange love with his devotees, with all living entities. So he has that desire. You might say he has a desire. But even if it doesn't happen, he's still satisfied in himself.
Yeah.
We need to exchange love with another living being. When we don't have that, we're miserable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just trying to relate this to, you know, the earlier thing that we were discussing when Sri Devi Mataji mentioned about things that cause us anxiety, but sometimes they, like you mentioned, they just go away. I'm just trying to link the two, because then they're all temporary and then they fade away, but what remains is still the love, because end of the day, that's what is the underlying most important thing.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's the exchange. Just like it mentions in the Nectar of Instructions, there's 6 ways that devotees can exchange love between each other. So I'll give you a personal experience. When I was in London, I met one devotee and we became friends. And he gave me a picture of Nrsingadev from Mayapur. And it was really a mystical picture. It had it was like the lights were low and there was all these like lamps around Nrsingadev, and it looked real mystical. He gave it to me as a gift, and I really appreciated the gift. I was thinking, this is such a nice gift. So after some time, I went back to America, and I had somehow or other thought I had put the picture in a particular place, but I couldn't find the picture. So I was looking for it, and at one point I gave up, couldn't find the picture anymore. So I think many months later, I opened a book in my library. When I opened the book, the picture was inside the book. So I was so happy to see the picture, but my happiness really was more that I remembered the devotee who gave me the picture. And again, I was feeling that the presence of that exchange, that very loving exchange that happened when he gave me that picture. And I was remembering the devotee. I hadn't seen him in a long time. So when some item of exchange comes, it's not so much the item that's important. It's the person who gives you the item. That becomes the reality of the experience. It's the person. And that's when Krishna wants to give us something, he can give you the whole world. But that doesn't make you happy. If you get Krishna, then you become happy. You become artificially happy with the things Krishna can give you in terms of material things, but that doesn't satisfy the soul. It can be used in a practical way to do things with, but ultimately it's Radhanath Swami said it very nicely. He was indicating the times of the climate of the times. And he spoke this very powerful statement to when he was in London. He addressed the what is it? There's the House of Commons and the House of Lords, right? The two houses for rule there. So he was in the House of Commons, and he was giving a lecture to all the people who came, plus many of the representatives there. So he said one thing. He said, we have a tendency to use people and love things rather than use things and love people. Yeah. So that became really a powerful statement. And then later on in private discussions, people were asking him more about that statement that he had made. So that goes on in the world today. People are more interested. That's why people are unhappy, because they think material things can give them happiness, but it's not. Material things are useful, and they can provide, some material stability in life. They can't give you, they can't touch the heart.
Mm-hmm.
It's the person that touches the heart. Mhm.
We actually, Maharaj, we meet that devotee who gave you the picture, and oftentimes he's always asking about you, and he's saying that, oh, I gave that picture to Maharaj. How is he doing? He's always inquiring about you, Maharaj.
Really, I haven't seen him in years. He's still in London?
He lives in our neighborhood, Maharaj.
Really, you know him? I
Yes,
even
yes. He's always inquiring about your well-being. Every single time I meet him.
Yeah, because that picture became a medium of our relationship. So that's where the usefulness of inanimate objects is that, well, in this case, it's not inanimate, but inanimate objects have a way of connecting people with each other. And that's the purpose of these objects. It's not the object itself. You know, like people will give me a pair of socks and I think, wow, I don't know what to do with it. I got about 500 pairs already. So, and then when I say, wow, a pair of socks, just what I need. Thank you very much. You're so kind. It's just the color that I was hoping to get, you know. So we'll say that. And because it's not, and we're not just becoming artificially friendly, but what we're doing is saying that, yes, you thought of me, you gave me a gift. Although the gift, I can't really use it, but the thought is what counts.
Mm.
And that happens with sannyasis all the time. We all get all kinds of stuff we don't need. But that's okay, because, you know, it gives us a chance to pass it on to somebody else who can benefit from it.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, so next time I come to London, I would like to meet him. It's been a long time.
Definitely, Maharaj. We'll organize that. He's always, I meet him almost every other week, and he's always asking, always inquiring about your well-being. There must be some connection.
Would love to see him again. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, my humble obeisance to you, Maharaj. All glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Nandini, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So Maharaj, I wanted to ask you a question, that why do we get into difficult situations or uncomfortable situations? Why does that happen? Is it Krishna who puts us in those situations to test us?
It's called the material world. If you want to get rid of difficult situations, go back to Godhead. Prabhupada talks about that all the time. And he says, difficulties and sufferings, though you can't, this is the material world. It's going to happen. It's just the way it is. This material world is designed to give you trouble. The plan makers already put it in practice, and the demons are making things worse. So, it's like Prabhupada said, we have no fear of Maya. For Maya is our friend. Prabhupada would say that. And then he said, but because there's demons, and demons are always harassing everybody, then Maya has to do her job by serving the demons. So as long as there's demons, you're always going to be put into difficult situations. And they're always causing problems for everybody. The idea is to sort of take shelter of Krishna, and then you can mitigate the effects of the disturbances caused by the material energy. I mean, we have a material body and it gets sick. That's a difficulty. We have material things, they get lost or they get stolen. That causes some difficulty. So yeah, this is the material world. This is what it is.
Thank you, Maharaj.
That's why tolerance is a very important part of the execution of bhakti. One has to practice tolerance in order to continue to move forward in life. Those who are intolerant or haven't developed tolerance, they stagnate in life. They don't really move forward at all. It's just a life of stagnation. Well, you have to practice tolerance, and you also have to see that tolerance helps you to move forward in life also. Life is a series of challenges, situations, opportunities to become Krishna conscious. Krishna is working with the non-devotees to fulfill their desires in such a way that they will eventually become frustrated and then they will turn to him. Sumitra, you have a question.
It's not a question, just would like to thank you for saying at the end of your lecture how taste is available. So it really, just gave me some of those moments. Yes, the taste is available. So let's do my chanting better. And it's that Krishna is in form of his name to comfort us here. And I really needed to hear that today. So thank you very much. And I'll just...
Yeah. There's this very sweet taste attached to Krishna's name. Sri Devi.
Dear Guru Maharaj, this is so enlivening. So I want to ask one more question, please, if I may. On the subject of loving exchanges, I'm thinking to myself that here I have this God family, but how we can have loving exchanges? We're all scattered all over the globe. We're all far apart from each other. So how we can have loving exchanges between us to strengthen our own connection and to strengthen ourselves in Krishna consciousness by
Why do you limit relationships to the God family? There is it's the bigger God family, every devotee. Why just narrow it down to that? Prabhupada created a ISKCON family, and there are so many uncles, there's so many cousins, so many brothers, sisters, nephews. It's a family. Why do you limit it to just God brothers and God sisters?
True. Yes, Guru Maharaj, thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah. Sudha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Dhanapranam Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Guru Maharaj, for the very nice class on this topic, fear. Guru Maharaj, my question is how to handle a fear that arises out of offenses. Sometimes we think okay, we did some offense and we get fearful. So how to handle those fears?
Well, you just rectify the offense, that's all. There's ways of rectifying offense. There's two ways to rectify an offense. If you commit offense to the holy name, if you commit offense to Krishna, then you simply chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, for a prolonged period of time, and then gradually the effects of the offense will be gone completely. That's mentioned, that Krishna in the chanting of the holy name, the offenses you commit is that you keep chanting and try to avoid the offenses. Krishna in the form of his deity, if you commit offenses to the deity, then you simply chant the holy names, and then that will also be diminished and ultimately destroyed completely. If you chip offenses to a Vaishnava, then you have to go to that Vaishnava and apologize for your activities and ask to do some service to that Vaishnava as a way to reciprocate. So if you follow those formulas, the thing is, if we're not sorry for our offenses, or if we're thinking, I committed an offenses, therefore I'm going to suffer. Yeah, we think like that. And but you also understand that an offense means something that causes difficulty to either the Lord or someone else. So you look at it from that aspect, that I did something to cause others discomfort or some distress. And then you will be more inclined to try to rectify the offense by offering a sincere apology.
Okay.
But if it's for the holy name, it's for the deity, just chant Hare Krishna. That's all.
Okay, very much. Yes, very much. Thank you. So even subtle offenses also, we can do the same way. Just keep chanting, it will go away. Because sometimes we think things like, okay, that we shouldn't think. So,
Yeah.
and that coming, and we don't want to really think those thoughts, but it keeps coming.
Stop thinking of them.
So that's kind of very tough. Yeah.
Just I was chanting today, and when my mind came up with some stupid thought, and I said, mind, go away, shut up, don't bother me. And then I start chanting. It can't be nice to your mind sometimes. You just have to tell it, hey, go away, you rascal. You're disturbing my relationship with Krishna.
Yes, yeah. So, Maharaj, my question is in that situation, is it okay to separate from the mind? Okay, now that we understand those are not my thoughts, I don't want to think them. So
Yeah,
can you
they're shadow images of your previous experiences in the material world. These things are now in the form of thoughts. Before they were in the form of actions. Now, because you've become a devotee, now the effects of upon you are lessening, and now they're in the form of thoughts. And as you continue, the thoughts will become less frequent, and then as you actually become a pure devotee, then those thoughts will go away completely.
Okay. Yes.
So it's just follow the process, and don't try to analyze or try to understand negative thoughts. Just kick them out immediately when they come. Because if you think about something negative from a point of view of understanding, you feed that thought and you give it strength, even if you're trying to analyze it. Immediately when you recognize, oh, I shouldn't be thinking of this, and immediately you just turn it off. That's all.
Yes, good. So, yes.
If you try to analyze it or understand it, it'll grow.
Okay, so I should not think about it. I should immediately, yeah.
Yeah. As soon as it comes up, immediately switch the camera.
Yes, yeah. And also my personal realization, Guru Maharaj, about fear. I mean, after coming to this moment, also I see fear also arises out of ignorance. If you are very much ignorant, I mean, the fear also comes. I mean, I've seen my personal realization after coming here, reading Bhagavatam especially, really helped me. to come out of most of the fears. Like I can see myself, like, you know, if I really see like 3 years ago and where I'm now, you know, reading scriptures and understanding why actually, you know, we have these material sufferings, you know. So that's just my personal realization.
Yeah, the process works. Hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord purifies the consciousness.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Yes, Brett. Hare Krishna. Nice to see you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you, Maharaj. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj, thank you for the class on fear. I was just reflecting on, you know, you speaking on Lord Nishingadev and how merciful Lord Nishingadev was. And in that process of thinking about fear, I thought of Prahlad Maharaj and how kind-hearted he was throughout all that he endured. And Maharaj, my question is, you know, you spoke on, you know, stagnating in life. So how can we continue to advance in a kind-hearted mood, you know, with humility, compassion, and strength, without becoming, you know, complacent or manipulative in life?
Make plans to overcome that. Do something. Do something that will facilitate developing those qualities. That's all. If you want to be kind-hearted, just be kind-hearted. In other words, show your kindness to others by acting in that way towards them. Practice what you want to become like. If we wait for situations to arise, we might find ourselves waiting too long. But if we are proactive, if you want to be a preacher, you can't say, well, I want to be a preacher and I'll, you know, when 10 years from now it'll come. No, you have to read the books. If you want to be a preacher, just read the books. If you want to learn how to cook, go into the kitchen and watch people who know how to cook. If you want to know how to dance, get in the dance floor and start following people who are dancing. We have to do what we want to become like. Yeah, that's all. It's practical. And even on the subtle level, if you want to be generous, act generous. If you want someone to love you, then give love to others. That's all. All these good qualities that we want to develop are already inside of us. They are there within us. The soul has all the good qualities. And when you practice them, they more or less emerge from their hidden nature and become more and more visible. You can start to see them, you can start to experience them. They're already inside of you. You don't have to bring these things from the outside, because the soul is by nature pure. The soul is by nature part and parcel of Krishna. Therefore, the soul is by nature good. It has all good qualities. But we have to practice them and bringing them out. That's all.
And is to say, like, Maharaj, the focus on these qualities in life, or just, you know, allowing them to rise naturally as they become a habit, is that, you know, minimize the quality of fear stepping into your life, you know, because you know, as you experience more and more, and as you act more in your life, as you gain these experiences in strength, humility, compassion, kind-heartedness, you know, how, you know, does it lessen the effect of fear as you move on?
Yeah, it will.
sort of like that advancement, gaining process of these qualities.
These qualities are real, where any negative qualities is simply a shadow over the soul. And so, just like evil, or darkness. What is darkness? An absence of light. That's all. So what is God consciousness? The absence of Maya. That's all. You are what you want to be, but because we are still covered with these, the energy around us and the desire to somehow or other find happiness in these activities, we block the ability of our good qualities to emerge. Prabhupada would say, you are never separated from Krishna. You are always with Krishna. But we don't experience that because we are more focused, looking outward towards the material energy. Yeah, if you want to be whatever you want to be, practice it. If you want to win the Olympics as the best runner, then practice running. There's a beautiful story. It's I'll tell you this story. It's one of my favorite stories. It's an actual fact that happened about 80 years ago. I can't remember her whole name. Her last name was Wilhelm. Something Wilhelm. She was from Germany. She was born, and when she was born, and her legs were paralyzed. The doctor said to her mother, she will never walk. And as she grew up, she developed a desire to walk. And so she started practicing to walk, even though her legs weren't strong enough. And after some time practicing it so diligently, she started to walk. Everyone was amazed. Then after she was walking, she said, I don't want to walk, I want to run. So she started practicing running. And then when she was going to school, she entered into different competitions for running. And she always came in last. But it didn't discourage her because she was thinking, I'm going to run. And then after some time, I'm going to be the best runner. So her whole life was focused on that. After some time, she became so good at running that she actually won the nomination for entering into the Olympics as a representative of her country. And she was the runner in the Olympics, and she actually won the Olympics as the best runner. There was a girl who was born with paralyzed legs, but she wouldn't accept it. This is not me. I'm gonna walk, I'm gonna run, and not only I'm gonna run, I'm gonna be the best. So you should say, I'm gonna be a pure devotee. Whatever it takes, I'm gonna become a pure devotee. Just say that, and then become determined to fulfill that. And then you'll see what Krishna will do to help you come, because as soon as you push your desire in a certain direction, then you move the material energy accordingly, and it starts to facilitate what you need to fulfill that desire. Even the materialists know that by determined effort, you can achieve many difficult things. Same in Krishna consciousness, it applies. But yeah, Wilhelm Rudolph. Wilma Rudolph, that's what her name. You found it? Sridevi, you found it?
Her story is amazing. You had told us last time, so I researched a little bit about her, and she's just an amazing success story.
You found it in the on the
I just Googled after you had told this story once before, and to me it was very powerful. So I had done a little research, and it's there on the internet, Guru Maharaj, her story. Would you like
Wilma Rudolph. Okay. Yeah, it's amazing. It's totally amazing. It shows what the power of determination, desire can do.
Guru Maharaj, we have another very, very beautiful story of Nick Vujicic. He was born without hands and legs, and today he is a world famous preacher for Christianity.
Right. Yeah,
I told that story also.
What's his name?
That story. Nick Vujicic.
Yeah, he's a famous evangelistic preacher for the Christians. He has no arms and no legs. He also goes swimming too. He doesn't have any arms and legs, but he swims.
Yes, amazing.
I've seen a film of him swimming. And he preaches that with God, you can do anything. You can do everything. And he's coming right from the spiritual perspective too. He has complete faith in the Lord, and he shows it in his life, you know. No arms, no legs. They're cut off right at the beginning of their, you know. He has no arms all the way up to the shoulders. He has no legs all the way up to, you know, to the hip.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, he just has a torso. He just has
just a torso.
And a tiny little stump, like for a little foot, you know. It's literally a tiny little stump. And it's amazing, even with that little stump, he types on the computer and he does so many things with that little stump of his.
So these are personalities who are determined to achieve their goal in life. And with the help of God, then anything is possible. So Prabhupada say, just desire to become a pure devotee, and then be willing to accept whatever you have to do to achieve it. That's all. Okay, so thank you. I think where is it? Sumitra had her hand up again, and I missed her for the second time.
She lowered her hand, Guru Maharaj, later.
Oh, she did. Okay.
Sumitra Mataji, you want to ask anything or share anything? Dear devotees, any more questions or comments? Guru Maharaj, I guess no more questions or comments.
Sumitra is a person of determination. She, I know the family. And she has 3 boys, and she said, "I want a girl." So again, she planned it, and Krishna gave her a girl. So the 4th one was a girl. There she is. She's almost 1 year old. May
25th of May.
25th of May, yeah, 25th of May, right, yeah. Last year.
Yeah, and like 10-15 minutes ago, Mataji Sridevi was saying about this God family and you. So then it means I'm intruder here. So because I find all of you like my cousins. I'm disciple of Krishna Kshetra Swami, and I really appreciate company of your Guru. So Candramauli Maharaj, he knows I found him like uncle, and he's a grandfather of my children. I mean, maybe he doesn't feel like, but I'm making him like that. So thank you very much for letting me be part of your family.
I'm very happy to be part of your family because it's such a wonderful family. And your cooking is also wonderful.
Maharaj, thank you very much. I hope that you will soon try it. I mean, I'm hoping really that you're coming next week in Croatia again. So we are having cross fingers that you're gonna be here.
The plan is, yeah, the plan is for the 20th.
Hopefully you will manage and be able, because I heard you have in Ljubljana class on 19th. So wish you the best strength and health that you can come and manage. I mean, when I read your mail, Ayodhya Prabhu sent us your answer, and I was really overwhelmed with you, how you're always serving us. It's not like we want to do service for you, but you are always like one step ahead. And I mean, by saying what you're doing or what you're really making everything easy for us. So thank you, Maharaj. It's really, you're making us grateful.
Thank you. I'm really happy. If I can serve the devotees, I know Krishna will be very happy.
But you don't give us a chance. So come that we can cook for you.
Okay, I agree. The next time you invite me, you can invite Valentina to come also. She should also come.
I realized that because I see her here. So yeah, she's welcome at our place and in Joyful Kitchen, of course.
Good. Okay, thank you. So it's Ekadasi and a great opportunity to take advantage of this auspicious day, as Bhakti Vinod Thakur says. Ekadasi is the mother of devotion. So we can make nice spiritual progress on this particular day, particularly by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and taking more time to hear and chant the glories of the Lord.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj, for a wonderful session. Nice question answer session, devotees. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Srimati. You like that little baby? I saw you said she's so cute.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, she's so cute.
She is a doll, yeah. She's just sweet. I did the first grain ceremony for her.
Oh, nice.
That was just a couple months ago, I think it was. Okay, see you all again soon.
Sure, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you. Hare